And welcome back. Home straight. Home straight. 3 days. 3 days retreat. Last bit. How have people found it? When we put this up to the to YouTube, you only get the speaker view, but just for the speaker view and those who are watching and catch up, there was thumbs up. But yeah. Is there anything that stood out for people? What have people heard?
Right, I'm going to leave that. Turn that off.
Thanks, Dad. You just can't get the family, can you? We get bombed by this lad who just jumps around with his willy out and shouts offensive words sometimes on community group. And the only people that have bombed us this time has been my own family.
You just asked, is there anything we've heard? Yeah, your mum.
Yeah. Your mum trying to use Zoom.
I remember once we were doing a retreat and your mum was on and she was speaking or asking a question, and then your dad walked past in his dressing gown and then just flashed his bottom for
Just
everyone.
mooning everyone. Like,
I was like, does he realise
would you like me to do that to his customers? Like, would you like that, Dad?
Made everyone laugh.
It did. It did. Thanks, Dad.
There were a couple things from this morning's session that I really enjoyed. When your sister came on, once she got the computer, I really loved hearing her story and the transformation. That's so inspiring. And then I enjoyed the conversation, Dave, when you were talking about the news, and that just made so much sense to me. Like I kind of beat myself up sometimes by getting involved in looking at things that don't bring me peace and well-being, and there really isn't anything I can do about it from where I am. But it's almost like an addiction or something, I think, that I experienced. So I was, I loved what you were saying about how, kind of living in your own like peace is the best service, that you can do, that each of us can do for humanity. And if you feel like talking about that anymore, if there's any more to say, I really love that whole conversation, or if other people have things to share around that.
Yeah, I don't know. I used to feel like it was my duty, my civic duty, to be informed. And I don't know. I was once at home with Mum and Dad. I was playing chess with Dad. That morning, I'd got up and I'd walked through in the kitchen. The news was on. Wasn't even 8 o'clock in the morning. Murder, the conversation of murder, had been brought into our house via what my sister calls the Fool's Lantern, which I quite like, the television. And that night I was playing chess with my dad. News came on just before I went to bed. Murder. So-and-so's been murdered. It's very sad. I feel so sorry for the family and those involved and everybody involved, in fact, every single one of them, including the person who committed the murder, in all honesty. God bless that suffering soul. God bless that man who's so lost, or woman who would take the life of another person. Absolutely, or woman. Thank you. But I remember saying to my mum, do we have to watch this? I said, because at the end of the day, this to me, it's just gossip. It's gossip. It has nothing to do with me. It's just stories about other people's lives, that people who have got no direct connection, who have no involvement in what's happened, are just putting out this narrative about what's taking place. It's gossip. has nothing to do with me. Doesn't mean I don't feel compassion and love, but it has nothing to do with me. What can I do? What can I do about it? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But I know that hearing about people getting killed does not fulfill me and bring me joy and happiness. It does the total opposite. So I'm not a gossipy person. I don't like gossip. I don't gossip about people. I try and see the best in people. And it just seems to me like we have this system in place that's just a gossip peddler. And people think it's their civic duty to lap up the gossip, or so it appears to me. I think there's some news that I just think if there's something I really need to know about, I'll find out. If there's something I really need to know about, it will be brought to my attention. I will find out about it because I'll face it in this life and I'll deal with that. But the rest of it is just stuff that, in my opinion, that I don't very often hear on the news a beautiful story about somebody helping somebody. Today, two very kind teenagers found somebody who was homeless, and they went and got them some food and sat down and had a talk with them. And you know, today there was a lady who'd fallen over and she'd hurt her leg and she couldn't get up, and the next door neighbor went round and they did all the gardening and did all the errands for them that needed doing. You know, today a bill was passed that gave more rights to people. You know, I don't generally hear the good stories on the news. I only ever hear horrible things: war, displaced people, doom and gloom, the world's going to hell. But it's not going to hell. The world's not going to hell. I don't feel personally, this is just my personal opinion. I don't feel like the news is an accurate representation of mankind at all. Not in my world.
It creates so much fear.
Division.
And we just hear if that's what we think the world is like, then we're going to feel afraid. And then people who are afraid generally aren't living their best life and showing up best for their family, or
That's right. People crippled with worry and anxiety. It's like after 9/11, what the media did to Muslim people, the Islamophobia that was generated through gossip, you know, and a misrepresentation of, like, trying to class a group of people as all being one person, like they do with Russia. You know, the Russians, got to be afraid of the Russians, got to be afraid of the Chinese. Why? The average Russians, just like us, they don't want war, they don't want peace, they just want leaving the hell alone by the government.
They do want peace.
Did I
You said they don't want war, they don't want peace.
Oh, they do want peace, sorry. They just want leaving alone. They just want to be able to get on with their lives. Same as the average Chinese person. The Chinese are people. There are as many realities as there are Chinese people. You know, they're not bad people. They're not nobody to be afraid of. They're just like us. They're people. But for some reason, our media seems to want to group people together and then talk about them in really rather not very kind ways, but in a very subtle, just in not a very kind way. And for me, because I've seen that for myself, and that's what I see when I look at it, I get quite wound up when I start hearing this propaganda about people. Like, no, these are people. Stop trying to get people to hate people. Stop trying to get people to be afraid of people. Why would you need to do that? Now, that is where I get to the point where, like, well, there is obviously somebody who has the power within the media who, for whatever reason, there's a benefit to somebody. Like there's a benefit to somebody for war, because I don't think anybody on our screens here want us to go to war, wants our country to go to war with anyone, ever. But war does take place, and it is obviously beneficial for certain people. Otherwise, it wouldn't get the funding. It wouldn't get the go-ahead. It wouldn't get the green light. And more often than not, it's always touted as being in the best interests of for ourselves or for our allies. But I don't know. I'm quite skeptical. I'm quite skeptical about anything I hear now on the news, and I just don't listen to it. I just don't listen to it. And
We love it when we go off to bothies and things.
Yeah.
So bothies like a place you can stay for free, and it's normally in the middle of nowhere.
yeah,
So you maybe walk into it or cycle into it.
it's like a building, isn't it?
And then I think the longest we stayed was probably just under a week.
Yeah.
And
Torrential rain.
yeah, and just we were like cooking our own food on a little stove, then we're getting water and pumping it to clean it, and there was no outside influence, and it was so interesting. Like your mind just got quieter and quieter and quieter.
Life becomes simpler and simpler and simpler.
Yeah, and it was weird when you then come back, and it's the same when we did the John Muir Trail with Linda Ramus. That I think it was that about a week as well. I can't remember. But so you did bump into other people, but still it was just you're just walking. You've got no mobile reception. I don't know. It simplified life, and with that simplicity, it felt like you got more and more and more present. And then like cool stuff would come out of that we maybe want to talk about, or
Yeah.
that we got quieter, there was less communication, but we didn't cease to exist because we didn't know what was going on in the world. I felt like I existed more, I was more present and more alive. But I just think we are bombarded with information, and most of it is irrelevant to our life.
It's other people's information.
Because even when you've got interested in something, in terms of alternative news views and looking at things, sometimes I've just said to Dave, like, if there's something I need to know, tell me. If I don't need to know, I just want to be in Lucia land. I just want to show up for Lucia and be a mum. I don't want to know about anything that's happening in the world. If there's something I can do to help, then tell me about it, and I want to help. Otherwise, I love just being present with her, and the feeling of gratitude that I get to have the life that I get. I fall into that space of gratitude because I know full well not everyone gets to live the life that I have, and that I am privileged. But both of us used to suffer with, we'd see something awful in the world and we'd think, well, we can't be happy when that's going on in the world, because it felt wrong to us that we should somehow enjoy life or be peaceful if there's all this terrible stuff. So then we made ourselves miserable, thinking we were serving. And I remember Amy Chen Mills speaking about one of the retreats she went to with Sid. He'd said, I'm just as much use to the world tending to my garden as I am going out and giving talks. Because I think he just knew that one person in an incredibly high level of consciousness is more helpful. And I think Elsie's wonderful at pointing people to just look after your own well-being. Like she just said, she got less and less willing to give away her well-being to other people, or the news, but she said, in the early days with Sid, that they were part of the Isn't Life Awful gang, and they'd all get together and they'd all whinge about each other's partners, they'd whinge around the world. And then when Sid came across this, he stopped doing that. He stopped gossiping. He didn't want to talk about all the negativity. And it really, really pissed Elsie off. Like she just talks about it in her book. But she said it took her a year, and then she saw what he was pointing to. Why would we focus our attention on everything that's wrong and expect to find peace or
a beautiful life?
Yeah. But then I know other people who can watch the news from a very settled down, non-judgmental place, and then being inspired to action, inspired to do things, have amazing ideas. But I think it's a bit like you were saying, that you can't watch certain things at the moment without your ego just being like, "Rrr." And that's just our humanness. Like there's certain
animal
things
cruelty, and crimes against children and innocent people, like, and you know, I can get my back up about it. I can end up in this kind of region, but because I'm aware of it, I choose different for my life. I choose to create. I choose to live in a more beautiful state of being. I choose that, and I don't know. I don't think it's made me unkind. I don't believe that's made me unkind. If anything, I think it's allowed me to, when we're in higher frequencies of being, we see more beauty. It's allowed me to connect with people deeper. Dan, could you come back on your screen? No, to the Dan. Sorry, Dan Altman. Dan Altman. Sorry, yeah, sorry, Dan. Dan, could you pick up, just out of interest, could you please just don't overthink it. Pick up 3 things.
No, one thing first.
Okay, pick that up. What was that? What's that? Okay. Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Okay, I've got a to-do list.
Dan,
I got
you-
my telephone. I got
you-
my journal here. Taking
wonderful.
notes.
If you could, just for a moment, just indulge me.
Okay.
Okay. Your journal. Could you please pick it up and talk to me about it? Tell me about your journal. What comes to you about your journal?
Well, I love my journal. I love writing, and I love, you know, it's part of my way of kind of taking things in. Sometimes I don't even reread it, but just the other thing, I always have a good pen that I really love, and I buy journals that I really that are high quality, uh, and so there's the physical sensation of actually, you know, writing with longhand that feels good. Although I print because I was an engineer, but and oftentimes I'll reread my old journals, and I'm always surprised at the wisdom sometimes that kind of comes through when I'm writing. Sometimes I just do this stream of consciousness writing where I'll just start writing and whatever comes to mind, and I'll read it later and I go, wow, that's, and I forget that that's available, that I guess it's the wisdom, the intelligence, I tend to overthink things a lot.
That was wonderful.
I don't know.
Next object, please. Next object, please.
Okay.
Oh,
Our to-do list here.
your to-do list. Talking about to-do list.
Well, I always use these green engineering pads, and they actually have rules, but the rules are on the back, so they kind of bleed through. So it's kind of a fun thing to do, but I've kind of developed a way of organizing. Like I have my calls and emails up here, and the ones that are important are on the left side, and the ones that maybe I'll do are on the right side, and then down here, I have my to-do, and that's kind of my calendar of things that I'm going to do. And so I have, walking my dog and doing my meditation and my physical therapy. And then over here, I just have other, kind of important tasks to work on. And I like getting it down on paper because then I don't have to think about it. Like, okay, if something comes to mind, like, maybe I should do that or something. I'll just kind of jot it down, and then I don't have to like ruminate on it. It's like, okay, because I know I'll look at it later.
Nice,
So,
mate. And thank you for that. And the next thing, the next object, please.
oh, this is my phone.
You talk to me about your phone. When you tell me about your phone?
Well, I have a love-hate relationship with it. I like I I don't have Facebook or social media on my phone. I deleted those apps off my phone years ago because they were so addicting to me. But I do have an addiction to email and text messages, and so staying in touch with people. I just got a text from somebody who's down in Costa Rica with a video of a sloth,
Oh,
eating, and so they're fun um, things, but mostly it's utilitarian. I keep my appointments in here because it'll pop up a reminder to me, and so I don't have to. Sometimes I'll review what are my appointments for today, but it's nice, like if I get involved in something, I don't have to think about it, it'll pop up a reminder for me. So it's a tool. It's helpful.
perfect. All right. Thank you, Dan. That was wonderful.
I'm wondering what you're going to say about all that.
Just an observation. Clearly, you have ADHD. I'm joking. It's just an observation.
No, I think that's true.
No, I don't at all. It was just a joke.
No, I got into the bolt. Have you heard of the bolt? And that guy who developed the bolt writer, Carroll, he had severe ADHD, and he developed this whole way of journaling to kind of overcome that, the tendency to kind of jump around. But I do that.
I genuinely was joking. I honestly,
Oh no,
honestly, I swear to God, it was just a silly.
I think my sense
My
of
point about the reason why I wanted to do that little experiment. Okay, I like to do this. We first did this when we had a girl come and do an intensive with us, didn't we? And we were driving to Dedham.
Oh yeah.
We're going to Dedham. And I passed this girl 3 things. I said, talk to me about these 3 things. And she did just what you did. I think one of them was a pen. Sunglasses case.
Phone, I think.
Yeah, I think it probably was a phone. And just said, speak to us about those, please. And she spoke to us about each one of those things. Like you just did. You just spoke about your journal, your to-do list, and your mobile phone. It's interesting, isn't it? We've never been taught the gift of attention. You never needed teaching it. It's what we're born with. We're born with the capacity and the gift to focus attention. And so when you focused your attention on your journal, and I asked you to speak about your journal, all you did was you looked at it, you focused your attention, and what did your mind do? It brought you information, thoughts about your journal. Okay, some of those were, I love my journal. One of the things that came to you. I have a nice pen. I like a nice pen. I write things out longhand. Well, actually, I print. I'm an engineer. These were thoughts that came to you when you looked at your journal. I enjoy the physical sensation. Sometimes I'm surprised at the wisdom when I pick it back up and read it. Sometimes I just write automatically. And these were thoughts that came to you when you focused your attention on your journal. Now, then I asked you, okay, Brill, can you please focus your attention on your to-do list? These were some of the things you said. It's a green engineering pad. It has rules on it. I have my calls up here, and the important stuff goes on the left. The maybes on the right-hand side. These were thoughts that came to you about your to-do list. Okay. My meditations. I don't have to remember once I've put it down on the to-do list. Calendar. On there, there's walking the dog. And then I asked you about, okay, great, stop. Could you please talk to me about your mobile phone? And you picked up your mobile phone. You focused your attention on your mobile phone. And what did your mind do? It brought you information about your mobile phone. Some of this is as follows. I have a love-hate relationship with it. I don't have social media because it's addictive, but I used to have it on my phone. Same here. I was quite addicted to my emails. I got a text from Costa Rica that was nice, and it had a sloth on it, a video of a sloth. It's a fun thing. It's a utilitarian thing. It's great for my reminders, etc. Okay. Now, this is purely an observational thing that I wanted to do. This girl, when she was in the back, there was a pen. I'm sure there was a pen or something. It was a bottle with sunglasses case and a
Fine.
mobile phone. And I said to her, isn't it interesting? Where you focus your attention, your mind brings you an experience. It's not a random experience. It's a specific experience. When you spoke about your to-do list, when you looked at your to-do list and you focused your attention on your to-do list, your mind didn't bring you like Saturn, Samaria Gorge, purple, squirrels, 79. I don't know. It didn't bring you random thought. It brought you focus your attention, your mind brought you information about that specific thing. Now, a quick question. When you took your attention off your journal and put it onto your to-do list, were you having an experience or thought or anything about your journal?
No, I just totally shifted.
Yeah. When you moved your attention onto your mobile phone, was there any experience of your journal or your to-do list?
No, I don't think so.
No. Okay. I said to this girl, imagine the experience that is created when we focus our attention on everything that we believe to be wrong with ourselves. What will the mind do? It will think. It will bring thoughts, and it will create the experience. What will the mind do if we focus our attention on everything that's wrong with the world? It will bring us information. It will bring us thoughts about everything that's wrong with the world. This is not a disordered system. The order is perfect. Our attention, our consciousness, wherever we focus our gift of consciousness, wherever we focus our gift of attention, we get to have an experience of it. And it will be at the detriment of everything else. You see, if we are constantly looking for threat in the world, what are we going to be experiencing? What's the mind going to be bringing us? Oh, who's around this corner? What are they going to do? What do they want from me? What do they want from me? Oh, I don't like the look of him. I don't trust them. I know it's terrible, isn't it? It's going to be, the mind is going to bring information dependent on where we are focused, how we are using our gift of attention. When we start to see that, we start to use our gift of attention in a far more kind to ourselves, considerate way. This girl was constantly thinking there was something wrong with her, and she was going looking for it. What was she doing? She was focusing her attention on everything she thought was wrong with her. And what did the mind do? It brought her information which looked like it backed up her initial theory. But in actual fact, when she took her mind off and started focusing her attention on the sunglasses case, there was no problem with her. When she took her attention off and started looking at the bottle, there was no attention. There was no problem there. Likewise with the mobile phone. There's no experience, because if you're focusing your attention on the mobile phone, you know yourself, there's a reason why they say, do not look at your phone and drive. Because when we're got our attention on something, it's at the detriment of everything else around us. It's at the deficit of attention of everything else around us. Where we focus our attention, we get an experience. The mind creates an experience of that which we are focusing attention on. It's a phenomenal thing. That's why focusing our attention in the direction of discovery of something new and wonderful is such an awesome thing to do. Because what will the mind do? The mind will bring us information in the direction which we are looking. If we go looking for everything that's wrong with ourselves, we're going to find it. You go looking for everything that's wrong with the world, you're going to find a lot of stuff. If you go looking for everything that's right with yourself, you're going to start to discover it. If you start looking for your well-being, you're going to find it. If you go in search of this spiritual beingness, it will show itself. Thing is about that latter statement, you find that just by letting go. For however that comes about. But wherever we focus our attention, we will get an experience. I saw all the emotions come up as you were writing, as you spoke about your journal. You could see the fulfillment in your being. I love my journal. My phone, bit of a love-hate relationship. See the feeling in your face. But wherever we focus our attention, this gift of attention, we've never been taught. We never needed teaching how to do it. It's an innate aspect of being alive. It's a phenomenal part of the spirit. I just wanted to do that.
It's a gift, like you say. It's an amazing gift, you know.
Inexplicable
To be,
gift.
to be an aware, you know, whatever we are being, you know, to just take life in. I mean, it's such a miracle, and just to be
Right.
able to be aware of it is such a gift. Yeah, that was a
I'm
great demonstration, though. I mean, I kind of have known that in the abstract more, but with slowing it down in a demonstration like that, it becomes much more real to me. Um, yeah, that was good. Thank you.
You're welcome, Dan. Have you got anything you want to add?
Not really. I like the point that you've made, but I think it's always really fun to do because we've done it like handed the pen to it must be about 20 different people and you get so many different things that come out of people. And like one of them was like using it as a microphone, and then someone
I
else
could
is
do
like,
my nails with it.
yeah, someone's like all about the color and the texture, and then other people start being like, you can see that people that struggle are like, I don't want to get this wrong. What
Yeah.
are they testing me?
Yeah.
They can't focus their attention on the pen because they're too busy thinking, is this some kind of test? But it's so interesting seeing when you focus your attention, then how creative the mind is, the things that can come to people's mind that would never occur to me while looking at that kind of object. So just
Reminds me of this, reminds me of that.
yeah, and like the endless creativity within us. And again, it shows, well, it's not the object that creates an experience or a feeling, because every single person has been handed it. You know, David's handed these kind of pens to so many people, and we've never had two people say the same thing.
No.
It's all very different. So just the endless creativity.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the whole affirmations thing, and for years I kind of like, you know, I love myself, and you know, it's like trying to replace beliefs or thoughts, but just being aware of it is all that's really um, needed, I think. Or, I mean, that seems like just consciousness of, like, if I see, like, if I start watching something and then I'll feel really yucky, you know, and it's like I become aware of that. It's not like I have to set up a rule ahead of time or something. I can just kind of navigate through life by just paying attention, really, and noticing my feelings and reactions, and what I'm where that tells me where I'm focusing, really.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
And I don't believe for a moment some people will go, oh, this is negating reality. Whose reality? You know, when it comes to things like the news, yeah, that is somebody's reality. God bless those people. But it's not my reality. My reality is my reality. Jenny's reality is Jenny's reality. Colin's reality is Colin's reality. Kate's reality is Kate's reality. Dan's reality is Dan's reality. It's not my reality unless I choose to make it so. And I choose to make it so by feeding it, by allowing myself to generate that experience. But it doesn't help the next person, it doesn't help the person who's suffering. It doesn't help them. It doesn't help them in this, it doesn't make their life any easier or any better. It just brings one more suffering human being into the planet. I don't think it is our civic duty. I think personally, I think it's our duty to try and become the best version of ourselves. Be loving towards the next people and be lighthouses. Show people that love people. Just love everybody you meet. Be kind. And that seems to me like the best kind of human being we can be. Just love everyone. Best we can. But first of all, start with ourselves.
I love, somebody mentioned, I don't know if it was you or your sister, that said, once said, I can do more good for the world, if I'm working in my garden in my backyard or something. Or Jen, yeah. I mean, it's so different than our normal conditioned way of thinking, like I have to go out and fix, fix things and do things, but there's the energetic part of that, just living in peace, that affects the whole consciousness, like you were saying with the waves. But also on a practical level, if there are things to do, we're much more effective and able to do things in the world when we're in that inner sense of peace and wellness, not in that state of fear and alarm. So
Totally. We're in common sense.
yeah.
We have access to common sense. Don't know, when I'm in fear, when I've been in fear in my life, that's when I've made some of my most stupid mistakes. That's when I've had to really start doing the cleaning up of my life, going around apologizing to people, trying to fix that was damaged and living in regret. And thankfully nowadays I don't really have anything I ever need to clean up in my life. It's definitely been, my life has been a game of two halves. And I'm grateful for the life I live now. Doesn't mean I'm always here. I spend a lot of time in this neck of the woods. Sometimes go down here. Usually when I go down here, I feel up here about down there later on. I'm so grateful for the learning that I got from what did I discover about how I believe, what did I learn about myself, about my ego in that moment. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to learn when I suffer. Like some of the wisdom that's come to me and then helped me in my life over the years through suffering, going into these states of being. I I don't see them as valueless personally. I see them as opportunities to grow. So is this and so how did you eventually let go of that fear? through a realization of this, through an experience of that, and I don't know if you can read that.
Good pens in here. You've been using that one the whole time.
Probably because I use the black one all the time. It was love.
I think also it's you've never gone back to the man you were before, but you've had periods of time where loads of fears come up and you've acted out. That, you know, Dave mentioned it, you had a bust up with your family, and like we create an idea of what it means to let go of fear, and we see everything as we want it to be permanent. But I think when we live here as a human being and we look out and we see self and other, we are going to have experiences of fear. And actually, sometimes there are times where fear is helpful. Like most of the time we're living in fear and it's not helpful. We're just driving ourselves mad. But like we make fear the bad guy. But actually sometimes, like we want Lucia to have like a slight fear around dogs. Because at the moment, yeah. Well, but like the road, like you can't just run out on the road. So I'm glad that sometimes she's a bit aware, like, oh, that car was quite close, because it then makes us learn. So even the experience of fear we can learn from, but I don't know anyone that doesn't from time to time, varying degrees, experience fear.
No, thanks for saying that, because
otherwise people think somehow that we live it, like we realize this ocean, we realize this source, this power, and then we never have to feel fear again.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't work.
It's like I think the relationship with fear changes. I think when I used to get scared or fearful, I'd then become afraid that I was scared or fearful. And it was like it would just get bigger and bigger. Whereas now I think you pay it less attention. You kind of know there's going to be some lesson in it, or.
But I think one of the things that comes is you're not afraid of fear. You know, and to me, this is freedom. I remember a man saying to me, came to work for this. He said, "I want the freedom you have, Dave." I said, "Oh, all right. Tell me, what does that look like to you?" He said, "Well, you're always happy and you love everyone." I said, "False and false. Not always happy. A few minutes ago, about an hour ago, I was swearing at the back of the van because the back of the van's crammed and trying to get the wellies to stay in. As I put the wellies in, something else fell out. I wasn't particularly happy at that point. I was pretty frustrated. But I think the thing that changed my relationship with fear was an experience of what I would call divine love. I experienced the heart of, I experienced myself without the story. I had an experience of myself without the story. Life. I experienced life before a judgment. And the moment this is life before the judgment. Or perhaps the better word is measurement. Life before the measurement takes place. But everybody is life before the measurement. You see, fear, as that insight came to me, that what was revealed after having a barney with your mum, the further into suffering we go, the further into unreality we have entered. Because true reality is just, it's not made of fear. This universe isn't made of fear. It's not held together because of fear. It doesn't work so cohesively because of fear. Fear isn't the energy behind all things. We don't go, everybody's they're on this search for fulfillment, love, peace. Why would that be so important to human beings? This search for love and fulfillment and peace. in every single action we take, really. I want that off the menu because I think it's going to bring me fulfillment over all the other things. I think I need more money because it's going to bring me more fulfillment. I'll be able to do more fulfilling things. I want to be with that partner. You know, I'm a bit bored of this job. I'm going to have to change my job. I'll go and get that job. I want to move house. I want to move area. I want to move country. It's always in this search of peace and fulfillment. Why are we on this call? Why do I do this work? You know, and we're going in search of something that we know is there. We know deep within ourselves we can have it. It's there. We know fine well it's there. But it seems like this elusive thing. But at some point, everybody's going to have an experience of it. It just are. Everybody will. Plenty of people before me had that experience. I'm just another person. Doesn't make me special, doesn't make me an anybody. Doesn't make me an expert either. If anything, it just blows my mind. Just blows my mind how phenomenal life actually is. This, whatever this is, before measurement, this state of being is boundless. It has no boundary. It doesn't, there's nothing impossible to it. It's capable of anything. It is capable. When I had my experience of this, I wasn't even present in my physical body, but I could see my body at moments. Stood next to my van. I could see it from different perspectives. It wasn't, consciousness is just something we're just starting to really scratch the surface of. No, does it not blow your mind that you're here? We're here. We're having this experience. Whatever that experience is, it doesn't matter. It's not a mind-blowing thing. It is to me. It blows my mind that anything exists. I can't compute it. It frazzles this. Frazzles it. I'm like, ugh. Yet here we are. Having never been taught how to live, we are alive. Having never needed to be taught how to live, we are alive. Life, people say life's hard. No, it's not. It's effortless. Do you effort to alive? No effort to alive. You are alive. You just are alive. You are livingness. It's not effortful. It's just what it is. What is it? What is that livingness? Because you are it. This is what we are. It's this. This is the livingness, and this is what the livingness is creating. On an individual level, that's why we all see separate realities. And it's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. The livingness creates the depression, the livingness creates the anxiety, the livingness creates the fear, the livingness creates the entire rainbow. It creates the whole rainbow. It's all the same thing. That's why the mystics throughout time have called it the dream of life. The dream, you can dream heaven or hell. You can have a nightmare. You can have the most wonderful dreams where you fly. It's interesting. Sid Banks said, the dream state, the sleep dream state is closer to the truth than the awake state. Why? Because it's not limited by our belief system. We're more free and expressive in our dreams. There's no limitation. You can go from one space into another. You can go walk through a door into a different country. People say that's impossible. It's not. It's all frequency. Everything is frequency. Everything is frequency. You match the frequency, you will literally become that. We have to. physics. We're the most misunderstood thing. Our self is the most misunderstood thing. Do you know? And I often say, we're spending so much time seeing how far out into the universe we can find. You look within, you will go even further. You can explore even further. Because really, the exploration of out there is an exploration of within. It's interesting. Oh, the universe is expanding. Is it? Or is it we keep looking? Wherever we look, we create. Consciousness and matter are inseparable. Ask a quantum physicist. That's why we can have these what appear to be miracles, manifestations, show up in our lives. Like Godel was speaking about. I believe that. I believe I can do it. It shows up in my life. Yeah, because consciousness and matter are inseparable. You create that frequency within yourself. You match, it will match your surroundings because your surroundings are frequency. You are frequency. We match it. Careful what you wish for. Think ourselves ill. We know that stress. What is stress? A very busy mind. It's an overwhelmed mind. And that can, we know that is not good for our bodies. It can even stop a heart. It can create a heart attack.
They're even starting to see now that it's, because they used to say stress kills, but they said they're starting to see it's people's relationship to
That's right.
stress. So some people actually can thrive in that kind of state, but they don't see a problem with it. And then other people feel stressed and, oh my God, I'm so stressed and I shouldn't be stressed. And so they're seeing that it's our relationship with thought that creates the problem rather than
That's right.
actual content.
Yeah, it's the belief around it. But if we can think ourselves ill, would it not stand to logical reason we can think ourselves well? If we can believe ourselves to a heart attack, would it not stand to logical reason we can think ourselves to health? Why would it only work one way? We are so I was speaking with a theoretical physicist. It was brilliant. I loved it. He had this skin problem, and I said, "Oh, I took homeopathy. I had a skin problem from when I was at college." And I said, "I took some homeopathy," and he went, "Dave, I'm a theoretical physicist." He said, "I know that's nonsense." I said, "What do you mean it's nonsense?" He said, "Well," he said, "it's nonsense." He said, "How can homeopathy work?" I said, "I don't know, but it worked on me." He went, "Well, that's placebo effect." I said, "What's placebo effect?" What? You said that like it was, oh, it's just placebo effect. Okay, what's the placebo effect? The capacity for the body to heal itself without medical intervention. Rather than that being a dismissed point, wouldn't that be something we should really be exploring and really funding and finding out, how the hell does that work? How can we bring around that in more people rather than just dismissing it? Oh, it's just placebo effect. Who cares? I felt it made me better. Who cares? We're amazing. We are so amazing. And so is every single living being. Every single living being without exception is phenomenal. And I don't know. I look around, I don't see a single wrong tree. Different shapes, different sizes, varying states of decay, growth. There's no wrong tree. And you look around, there's no wrong birds, no wrong insects, no wrong fish, no wrong mountains, no wrong planets. It's not wrong. Why would we think we're wrong? Why would we think, why would the human being be the exception to the rule? What kind of egoic concept has this human being devised itself? It's so separate from everything else. Everything else is so wonderful, but not me. Makes no sense. Well, that's what we get when we live in the game of duality and separation, the idea of separation, that separation from each other and the whole never once took place. We've never been separate from this. You can't be separate from this. If you're separate from this, you don't exist. But there is no don't exist ever. There is eternal existence, because that is non-physical. It's timeless. It doesn't exist in time. Time exists in thought. Thought does not exist in time. Time exists in thought. Thought exists in the now. It's a timeless space.
Remember we had someone come and work with us, and we did 4 days, and it was the start of a 6-month program, and they'd really enjoyed it and got quite a lot from it. And then we took them to the train station, and their train was late, and we said, "Oh, have you ever watched Fail Army?" And she's like, "No, what's that?" So we brought up Fail Army, and we were watching these videos of all kinds of mishaps and people trying things and failing at them, and
Don't judge us.
so then we're all cracking up, and then at the end she was like, "Why would anyone do that stuff? Like, why?" And you were like, "Oh, they just want to experience. People want to have an experience." And there was something about that statement that was, she said, it's like she was sat on the train down to London, and there's just all this stuff and insight came to her. But it's this idea that we only want to have this bit of experience. But you can kind of see from human beings, like we go and watch different kinds of movies, we do adventure sports, we do things where we are going to have to hurt ourselves over and over and again until we master it, and then we.
Oh, Lucia, yesterday. Do it again, Daddy.
Yeah, because like you were pretending to be a dragon or something, trying to get her. And then she'd be like, "Mum, look after me." And then Dave would love it again, and she'd be like, "Stop." And then he'd stop. And she'd be like, "Do it again, Dad, do it again." So it's like the experience of fear was exciting to her. And then you'd start doing it. She's like, "Oh, no." And then you'd be like, "No, again." And it's like, well, do you want me to do it or not? Are you enjoying this? But it's, I don't know, I think we create the wave of, I don't want to experience fear, or I don't want to have anxiety, or I don't know. We create these ideas, but I think every single thing that we experience is a momentary wave. And then we make it something. We think it means something. I remember we did a whole retreat once, and it'd been like, oh God, we make meaning out of everything. We're meaning making machines. So we can have just a random thought pop in, and then if we create meaning around it and think it means something, we then own it, and we look at it and we focus our attention on it, and then the mind brings us more thought about that. But it's like it's everything. So every single question that pops into our head is just a wave. And then we might have some answers that come to us, but they're all waves. It's all made up. It's all a temporary manifestation of this source. And I think certain people could have a thought and it just comes, it's a wave and it's gone. Someone else has that thought, and then they'll think about that thought for days, weeks, months, keep going back to it, get fixated on it, think it means something about them. And I think it was a good example when the story I always say I hate, but when you had when you saw the 3 kids outside the school. Do you want to say it, or?
Yeah, it was I've said this before countless times. I mean, trust me, there's there's worse thoughts that I'm not going to tell you for fear of social isolation. But no, I was walking back from working in prison. I saw these 4 kids outside of primary school.
3 kids.
3 kids. Sorry, it was 3 kids. Yeah, it was 3 kids. They were about 4 years old. And they were on their own on the pavement, no parents around. And I glanced across the road, saw these kids all by themselves, no parents anywhere near them. And this thought jumped into my head and it went, wonder what they're worth on the black market. And I just laughed. I mean, I must just look like a madman walking down the street, minding my own business, and then just burst out laughing. But nobody could see what had gone on inside my mind. And I was driving home and a little voice came in my head and it said, you've come a long way, Dave. 2 years ago, this must have been 2015 then, 2 years ago, that thought would have really upset you. I'd have been wondering about what that thought meant about me. Who am I? What am I to become? Am I this kind of person? Am I that kind of person? But in that moment, it was just seen for what it was. It was a thought. It didn't do anybody any harm. It came and it went. It doesn't affect my life. It was a thought. I remember it being a really profound moment when I got to notice the contrast between two different people. The man who died in 2013 and left, deeply insecure man, was replaced effectively by a man who was secure in his own mind to experience. And the gift and the gratitude I have for that most days, I'll never, 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 never stop celebrating that point. But it was great that I got to go live that first half of my life, 33 years old, well, less than half, more than half of my life, 33 years old, in such a way that I got to experience such suffering and deep insecurity. And
You just bought into every thought you had.
yeah, I just literally believed, because I experienced it as my reality, I assumed everybody else must see the same reality. And then it blew my mind that people had different opinions to me. So I'd argue them. And
But as soon as you create this idea that one of these waves is something to do with you, you'll keep bringing it back to mind and you'll think about it and you'll worry about it and it'll feel more and more real. But I think when you were doing that yesterday, I think the reason it's so powerful, because it's like that is the momentary nature of experience. Now. And since being around this understanding, I've seen how so many of these waves that used to have me and I could get fixated on them have just don't appear anymore. And then sometimes they appear, I'm like, whoa, I haven't experienced that one in a while. Ooh. And then sometimes I actually feel it for a bit. And like, something happened yesterday and then I got really annoyed about something. And I almost really went into it. And I was thinking, well, now I'm going to have to say something about that. I'm going to have to. And I got this feeling. And then I was like, a bit like, you know where this goes. And I remember it's like if you walk out of your door and you know if you turn left, it takes you somewhere you don't want to go. And you know if you turn right, you like it up that way.
don't go that way.
But you
Never go that way.
You keep finding yourself turning left. But I think what happens is you get halfway down the path. Oh no, yeah, no, I don't like it when I do that. I'll come back this way. I remember it being described actually on my first course as being buses, like you're at a bus stop and then the bus comes along and it's going somewhere you do not want to go, but you just keep getting on it. And it's like, it makes absolutely no sense. So a thought comes in that we know we absolutely don't like and we don't want to get on with it, but we like, yeah, no, I'm going to go with that one. But we start to know there's more and more, there's buses are going to be continual. They're infinite bus supply, infinite thought supply. We can allow things to come in and pass. But if we think one of these waves is true, or that it means something, or we need to think about it, we'll keep thinking about it. But when we see that they come and they go and they come and they go, and when they're gone, they don't exist.
Mm.
I think people, or I used to feel like if I was having, you know, a good few weeks pre coming across the principles, in the back of my mind, I'd start thinking, well, my eating disorders is going to come and get me, or my anxiety will come back. It's going to come back and get me because it's part of who I am. It's like I felt like it was some lurking somewhere. And I think coming across the principles and being shown that the reality we experience can only ever be now. It can only ever be taking form now. In this moment, whatever I'm thinking is creating my reality of life. And everything else is it doesn't exist. And that can be conscious or unconscious thought. But we don't appreciate or have enough gratitude for the fact that these waves do come and go. Because then we think, oh, they come back. Oh, I had that horrible feeling again. I don't like that. And then we start thinking about it. And then we start thinking there's something wrong with us, or I don't understand enough. I need to listen more. We just overthink everything. A friend was telling us earlier about the level of overthinking. I was just like, it baffled me, and it blew because I can overthink, like, don't get me wrong, but the level of overthinking that was described, I was like, I am totally baffled by that.
Bless them.
But you can see what the mind does.
Mm. And it's real to them.
Yeah. And there's been times when you're like, Jen, you don't need to be thinking about that. But I do. And this isn't about never getting lost in it, or it's understanding that we're none of it.
Mm.
It's not that when we're having a lovely day, we're doing life right.
It's all made up. It's literally all made up, and it shows up as this reality right here, right now. It's amazing. It's beautiful.
And it's when you mentioned earlier, Dan, about health anxiety, that's something I would have said I had when I came across the principles, and for a while afterwards, I probably would have been like, yeah, that's something. And then the other day, David got some really cheap CBD oil from Holland and Barrett. It was on special offer. And then I didn't even really read it. It was like, do you want something? It might help us sleep better.
Yeah.
So I just took it and just put loads in. So I hadn't even read how much I was supposed to take. Tasted horrible.
Yeah.
And then I started feeling like, well, I can't breathe properly. So then I was laid in bed trying to get to sleep, thinking, well, I can't breathe properly. I might have massively overtaken it. Oh my goodness me. Is Lucia going to be getting it in the milk? Oh my God. And I felt myself wanting to go off, which I used to do all the time. Like if I had a headache, I'd think I had a brain tumor. If I had a pain in my leg, it was some kind of, I was going to have like a blood clot, and it was going to be this. But once you see waves for what they are, I don't think you can buy into them as much. I've said it so many times, but I remember seeing it as, there used to be a program on television that it would show you a magic trick or some kind of illusion, and then it would go back and it would show you how it was done. They got quite a lot of flack for doing it.
I'm not surprised.
A famous guy, wasn't it, who did it? And with this, it felt like suddenly someone had shown you behind the curtain of how everything is created. You know how the illusion's being created through mind, thought, and consciousness within us. But it doesn't mean then when you step back into life, you can see the same illusion. And even though you know how it works, it still looks like the person's being cut in half, or someone's flying, or whatever it is. So even though you know it's not true, it still looks like it. And I felt like that was the same for me in my experience of life. Suddenly I'd seen behind the scenes, but then I was back into life, and it's like, wow, no, it still looks and feels real, but I know that it isn't. And just that little bit of doubt of what was being created, it frees us. It totally frees us. And it's not through efforting. It's not through going to war. But just knowing these are all temporary manifestations of the same source. They're always temporary. We've never ever experienced one feeling and then it's not left. because to have any other experience, it has to leave for something else to come in. Like, we're endlessly creative beings, and we just take it all so seriously. Like earlier on, Lucia
That's for
wanted
granted.
to go for a walk, and she wanted to take her handbag, and then she got a teddy the other day, which is named Valentino, but she keeps forgetting the
She
name.
doesn't even know its name.
And she's got a pair of her knickers and a headband, and created. She goes, "Oh, I know, I need to bring my bag with me." I was like, "Oh, okay." Do you know that I need to take that one as well because that's Valentino's bag? I'm like, all right. So she's walking along the road with a headband with her knickers hanging off it, and then she's got a teddy with his headband with the knickers hanging off it, and it's like totally normal. She's just walking. That's what she's doing, and she's just in this little world. And she's like, "Oh, can you?" She'll start singing. So you try and she goes, "No, you can't do that. You don't know the words." So she's created these songs now, and I'm like, I love how creative she is and how she's playing with thought. She's playing with reality. She's like making dragons now, and it's like, then there's the mum one. Can you make them hold hands? Oh, look, the dragons are holding hands. And then dad can actually turn into a dragon that she's scared of. Like, she knows it's her dad, but she's terrified of him coming near her. But
it's interesting because we think that we look at children and we go, we assume that there's something else at play than
thought,
or we assume there's something else at play that isn't at play within us. It's exactly the same thing at play. You know, the only difference between us and Lucia is at some point we've decided that life's serious. We've decided it must be serious.
well, I loved it yesterday because I went to see a friend who I haven't seen for ages. So it was me and Lucia, and then my friend and her son who's 10. And Lucia was a bit quiet to begin with, and then she just watching it, they just started playing and interacting and tickling and hiding, and like we're sat chatting, and it came to mind what you said, that you said to your mum once, why don't adults play anymore? Why do they just sit around talking? And it's funny because there's been times recently when I've been
That's
with
42 on Earth.
when I've been with friends, and they kind of almost expect Lucia just to sit around and listen to us talking. She's like, she's not up for it.
No.
She doesn't want to sit around discussing life. She wants to play. She wants to be
in
doing
life.
life. But I think that's why you often see children just gravitate to each other, and they start playing stupid games and making each other laugh, and
You see them playing the same game, but in totally different games, but thinking they're playing together.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
But it's that same playful, creative essence. It's like it's what we're born with, and we just then start creating really heavy, dark things about ourselves. And it's,
Cheers.
I don't know, I think that's why I've like, since coming across the principles, even more so, I love being around young kids, because it just reminds me of, they're so close, I feel, to this, to that source of just like bubbling up, in and out, in and out, in and out.
No judgment. No judgment of, oh, I really lost my shit today.
And it's like, it's funny watching my niece Ishka has been here, and she's been amazing. Like, Ishka's the reason really that I've got to spend so much time being part of this. Because she would have gone off with my mum and dad, but not for as long. And they've just had the best time, and it's been, she's like, you say, oh, Ishka, she's my Ishka. I'm like, yeah. And then she's gotten herself busy and in a bit of a tired mood, and Ishka was like, oh, can I say goodbye? And she goes, like this to her. And Ishka was like, gave her a little kiss on the head and went, love you, and sort of walked out. But she's got no sense of, God, you've been so kind to me over the last few days, and you've given up a lot of your time. I probably should say goodbye to you because I'm not going to see you till April. She's just like busy doing what I'm doing. Get away from me. And it's that kind of, and then it must have been about a minute and a half, 2 minutes later, she just walked out and was like, oh, bye, Ishkan, in a completely different space. But there's no holding on. Or that there's starting to be more holding on. Like I've said it before, like she can hold on to things, and you think, God, how innocent and how natural it is for us to start holding on to these things. People say you hang your hat on things. Oh, that's mine, that's mine, that's me. We haven't taught her to do that we know of.
No, but I think it's just part of It's part of being a human being. We like Lisa was saying, we create identity.
Mm.
But that, if you look at it, it's the only way really we can actually know we exist. If we have no identity, how can you know you exist? How can you play in life? We need identity to play in this life. You know, and so therefore it's not an enemy, it's actually a wonderful thing. The trick is realizing that it's a dance, it's a game, it's an illusion. You know, and I was gonna just change the subject a little bit, but I just wanted to draw attention. I mean, I don't know where anybody is at who's on this call right now, but I'm sure that there's people here that have had things targeted. Oh, I hope I can, if I can listen to this, I could possibly drop this thing or drop that thing. And I don't really want to draw attention to it like the journal or the to-do list, but I just want people just to check, just notice something, because I'm hoping that if you've just been listening, you'll have found that whatever it is you had targeted doesn't exist now. And, you know, if that's what you are experiencing, if I can say that, if I can say, you know, have a look, how do you feel? Do you feel okay? And if you do, that is all that actually exists for you right now. That's all that exists. That is the totality of your reality. Where has the health anxiety gone? Where is it? Where is the depression? Where is the anxiety? Where's it gone? Where is it? This thing that you are, this thing that has you, that, where's it gone? And I just want people, I was working with somebody the other day and I forget the hell it was, but I was talking to this person and they started laughing their heads off at the point that that it's gone. It's gone. Like, yeah, where is it?
Oh, I thought they were going to come actually.
Who was it?
Lady that doesn't want to have a name mentioned.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I thought she might come. She started saying, no, it's gone. It's gone. I said, yeah. I said, so now you know you are perfectly capable of having the experience of your life without it. But I need to tell you something, a bit of a secret about it. What's that? That didn't come from me. That came from you. I can't make you not feel anything. I can't make you feel anything. You create your own experience of life 100% from start to finish. It's your gift as a spiritual being. But so I didn't do that, but here you are without the anxiety that you were so desperate to get rid of. The moment you forgot it, it ceased to exist. It was that simple. It is that simple. The moment you forget it, it doesn't exist. In order to be experiencing it, we have to be creating it, we have to be thinking it. And some people would say, oh, but Dave, it's not that simple. You know, you've got this unconscious aspect of yourself, you know, this unconscious. What is the unconscious? It's thought. It's thought that we are not aware of as conscious thinking. It's still thought. It's still no greater. It's no more real. It's still part of the illusion. It still creates the illusion. It's thought creating the illusion, just on an unconscious level, an unaware, an unseeable level. But it's not unseeable because we feel it. And you often say our feelings are the visible face of thought. I like that. Yeah, I just wanted to just point that out. If you just notice, just take the time just to notice it, because I'm guessing, because by this time most people, and if you're not wrong with you, there's still nothing wrong with you.
Well, also, you've just drawn people's attention.
Just drawn your attention to it, so don't worry about it. But yeah, I just want people to notice, and hopefully then find the gratitude like that lady found. Because like Gordell said, it's gratitude is one of the most wonderful things for lifting your vibration. When you start to be gratitude, when you start to use your gift of attention to notice. I said this day one, this is just a noticing. It's a noticing of what's real. It's not a to do. You're already doing it. You can't do the principles. The principal people say, what do the principles say about this? The principles say nothing about anything. They don't have an opinion. They'll bring to life anything. Just notice that. Notice. That's all it is. It's just noticing. Nothing more. Nothing to fix.
I was going to say as well, I think I might have said it on the first day, but Dave and I had our wake up through the principles and being pointed to this, and we're forever grateful, and I draw upon it and I've referred back to it in the way that I share with people. But if someone's listening to this, and we've had sometimes on YouTube people like, well, I've been listening for a long time and I can't hear anything, and they get getting lost in it. It's like, well, you might hear it when you're doing something you enjoy. You might hear it on a meditation course. Like, we're not telling people what to do or what not to do. Do what makes your heart sing. I think sometimes people think, well, if we understand this, then I don't need anything else. But like, I know if I've got a back problem, I might go and see someone for my back, or if I'm really tense, I might go and have a massage. Like, there seems to be a misunderstanding in the community that somehow if you learn about the principles and you see that it's all thought, that's it, and that's all you can do. But we encourage people to explore and play and do things you enjoy.
Just go and play. Stop taking it so seriously, because really there's nothing to, it's not serious. It's none of it is serious. Not even death. Not even death. It's just an inevitable movement. It's wonderful, in fact. Not for those who are left behind. They can struggle. But for those that leave, I don't know. Couple of minutes left. How have people found this 3 days? I'd love some feedback, if possible, please.
From me, Dave and Jen, I'd like to say thanks, because, Catherine and I signed up for this. Neither of us had any expectations, because, of course, we've been around it for a while now. And yet, bingo, I've had two, albeit similar, but the insights nonetheless. And that's very valuable to me and very important to me. And I'm really, really grateful. Yeah.
Thanks, Carl.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kelman. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, we're both very grateful for you too.
Thanks, Angela.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of I think since my awakening last year, I feel like there's been a lot of arrogance from me about it. I don't know if that's the right word.
Go on. Been there, done that.
Yeah, I think a bit like I can just remember that, like, I felt like invincible, but in the form of like, haha, I'm invincible. This can't hurt me anymore. And like, and even though I've been through some absolute shit over the past month, I feel like that now I'm starting to feel that way again, but not in an arrogant way.
The more humble way.
Yeah, like I know it's not probably a massive thing to people, but I haven't been able to drive.
It is massive. Humility is massive.
Yeah, I haven't been able to drive for 3 weeks. Is it?
Yeah.
3 weeks, because I just I'm a petrol head at heart. I sell cars for a living. Like that's my thing. That's what I do. And I drove to my mum's tonight for the first time, just because I just kept saying to myself, "You're the boss. Like you're the one that creates everything." And yeah, don't get me wrong, it was uncomfortable, but I still did it. So yeah, I think I've just learned that there's no way of escaping how you feel, but it's the reaction to go with it. I think. Yeah.
Thank you.
Cheers, Dan.
I was going to
How about
say,
you?
the first time we ever heard your mum and speak, I think we just picked on you. You'd been coming to community group for a while,
I remember.
and we just picked on you, like, how are you doing? Like, have you seen anything? And then you just came out with all this stuff, and we were like, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Like all this, the insights you'd had, the things that had changed in your life, and we never would have known because you just sat quietly listening. And afterwards we were like, right, we're going to pick on her every week. So I always speak really quietly now because you're like, no, my sound doesn't work.
Yeah, I am just so very grateful because my life is completely changed now to how, I ever used to be. And probably that's why I don't say very much now, and I just sit and listen because I love being around the conversation. To see Dan these past few weeks, the way he's been, and it's been heartbreaking to watch him some days. But I know that he's okay, and it's convincing him that he's okay. He knows he is.
Yeah.
But
I know. It's because I'm so stubborn. Like I'm so stubborn, and I don't know why about it. Because I say we'll sit here on a Monday, and then we'll text each other after, and my mum will be like, "Oh, how did you get it tonight?" And I was like, I understand it 100%, completely understand everything that we're talking about, and I'm just going to revert back to remember when I was saying about starting the car, where it's like it will not start, but I know that everything's there in place to get it to go, and it's just the patience as well. So it's patience and arrogance I've learned how to deal with.
Well, patience has been one of your things that you've been saying. You've mentioned impatience so many times. So the thing is, if you're unaware of something, you haven't got any say over it. It's in the awareness where you start to notice. So for example, if I'm unaware that a car is hurtling towards me, I'm probably not going to take evasive action. There's a fair chance an accident might happen. But if I'm aware of it, I have options. And it's in the awareness where we can start to see, and we can like Jen was saying with the buses. Oh, here I go again. And you couldn't choose another bus without awareness. If you're unaware, you would just simply get on the same bus over and over. Shit, here I am again. Bloody hell, look at that.
It's like when I used to go to see my sister. She lived down in Plymouth. And I was only 15, and like it was quite a big thing for me to be getting the train from Colchester to London Liverpool Street, and then I had to get to Paddington, and I knew I had to go on the Circle line, and I used to just get on the Circle line. And it never really occurred to me that actually if I went over, I could get on the Circle line going in the other direction, and it would only be like a few stops. I used to go like all the way around, like loads of stops. I didn't know. I had no awareness of how to look at the tube map or anything. I just knew I was get on the yellow Circle line or whatever it was, and that's what I'd always do. I remember the first time I did it with my sister's boyfriend because he happened to be in London. He was like, "No, we're the other side." And I was like, "What?" It's like, it's just, yeah, go over the other side, and we go the opposite direction. Then it's only this amount of stops. I was like, oh, so much quicker when you
That
do that.
explains why it took an extra hour.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, thank you both. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll get this. I'll
It's
send that to you.
paused.
Yeah, text is your address.
Yeah, I will do.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. That's cool. Sorry, we scribbled all over it.
I'd like to express my appreciation, and I really enjoyed. There was enough hours that, and you both kind of took things slowly and not kind of rushing through. So it was a lot of ideas of things that I've known about, but it was really a wonderful opportunity to kind of sink into them and experience them in a real way. So I'm just feeling grateful and appreciative, and was really glad to be here. And thank you both for doing this, and thanks for the other people who have been online and who joined the call. That was great. They liked having the guests too.
Dan, this would be crap without them.
Because we've started, well, we started last year putting out a few little videos, and then we slowed down. But it's really weird when I turn Zoom on and I have to sit and look at myself and do a talk about something. It doesn't come as naturally to do
No.
that when there's actually faces that you can see, and you can see people's reactions and
Interacting.
things. Yeah, it's much nicer.
No. Thank you, Dan, and thank you so much for your presence, man. We really appreciate it.
I'm really glad to be here.
Thank you. Us too, man. Thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to share anything? All right, no problem.
And would you remember to take photographs of the
Oh
drawing?
yeah, I'll put those on the group.
Yeah,
I'd
yeah,
like to print it.
it's copywritten.
That's all right.
Okay, so this has been Awakening the Ocean of Freedom. It's been a via donation event run by Jen and myself. If anybody wishes to make a donation, they can do so via PayPal at info@freedomthinking.co.uk. If you're watching this on catch up, I'll put the link, our PayPal name in the bottom in the description, and I will put our contact details in there. We do personal one-to-one work with people and groups and all kinds of things. If we can be of service to you, please give us a shout.
And please like and subscribe.
Please like and subscribe. Oh, is that good, Cole? Is that right?
Oh yeah,
Let's go.
brilliant.
And hopefully we're leaving where we are tomorrow morning, and we're going somewhere else which should have good internet. So hopefully tomorrow night I'll be able to send a link to all of the recordings.
Yeah. So they'll be on our Facebook, Telegram, and WhatsApp channels. If anybody wants adding to Facebook and WhatsApp, drop us a message. Telegram and WhatsApp, drop us a message, and you can email us at info@freedomthinking.co.uk. Well, I've loved this. It's a wrap. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much. They'll be online. You can watch them back. And
yeah, I think this is the most involved I've been in anything we've done for a long time. So
I've
it's been
loved
really
it.
nice.
It's been really nice. I've loved it. Loads of love, everyone.
Yeah.
Night.
Bye.